progress.
There were some little pieces of paper with some personal information that was passed out earlier. They all need to be turned into the security guard. That is information that is not to be disseminated. Website. And what was being passed out was our home addresses, which was not appropriate. Email is the preferred method of communication. And we do read them, and lots of times we'll respond if a request is asked. The attorney is back, so let's get started. My name is Mary Skeens. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the April 20th, 2026 meeting of the Greensboro Planning and Zoning Commission. If the other commissioners would introduce themselves, starting from my right.
Stu Nichols.
Betty Turner. Catherine Maggett.
Warshay Downing.
Paul G. Gilmore Sr.
Ted Oliver.
Thank you. Please note that this meeting is being conducted in person and online. And if anyone participating online needs help with Zoom, please email staff at, and this is a new address, so zoningadministration@greensboro-nc.gov. Members of the commission are appointed by the City Council, and we do serve without pay. The Commission reviews all original zoning and annexation cases and rezoning requests for the City of Greensboro, and each Commissioner normally visits each site prior to this meeting. The procedure that will be used for all of our public hearings is as follows. Planning staff will present background information and make their recommendation for the case. The applicant will then present a short summary of how he or she communicated with the neighborhood and why the request is reasonable. Other persons in favor of the request may speak for a total of 10 minutes, and this time is shared with the applicant. Speakers opposed to the request will then share 10 minutes of speaking time. Do we know what that noise is?
We do not. We were just asking that question as well.
I'll talk loud. Those in favor of the request will then share 5 minutes of rebuttal time, and those in opposition to the request will have 5 minutes of rebuttal time. At the end of the speaking time, we will close the public hearing. Any commission member may ask questions once a presenter has completed their case. And all commissioners are required to vote unless they have a conflict of interest. In an effort to run the meetings more efficiently, the Commission may reorganize the meeting agenda. Cases in which no opposition has been expressed to the Planning Department or in which no speakers have signed up to speak in opposition and in which Commission members don't feel it necessitates an in-depth discussion, those items will be moved to the top of the agenda. Staff will provide a shortened presentation for those expedited cases, and applicants, if desired, will have 2 minutes to address the Commission to provide any additional information that they would like us to know. Expedited cases will then be discussed and voted on by the Commission. When speaking here tonight, please direct all questions and comments to the Planning and Zoning Commission, not to staff. The Commission will then communicate with staff on those questions. When a case is called that you're interested in, you need to please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. If you're participating online, please find and use the raise hand function under the reaction button. You'll be called upon to speak in the order in which the hands were raised. All approved or denied cases receiving 6 or more votes will constitute final action unless an appeal is submitted in writing to the Planning Department and the appeal fee is paid within 10 days. All cases receiving a majority of favorable votes but less than 6 will be subject to a public hearing by the City Council. And all cases that involve annexation are also subject to final approval by the City Council. Participants in the Zoom meeting will be able to review the meeting and speak when they are called upon. This meeting is being recorded and televised on Greensboro Television Network. And now we need to hear from our attorney about items that we need to consider or not consider in hearing cases tonight.
Thank you, Chair Skeens, and good evening, everyone. Much of the Commission's work this evening is going to relate to the consideration of rezoning applications. I'd like to remind everyone in attendance that when the Commission considers rezoning applications, the determinations that it makes are based on the land uses allowed under the zoning district that's put forth in the application and any conditions that have been proposed by the applicant. These decisions take broad policy questions into account, and those considerations are summarized by the factors outlined in the reasonableness statements that you'll hear the commissioners read when they make their motions on these items. Land use impacts on public infrastructure are relevant in rezoning matters, and it's important to know that the Commission is not here to determine all details of a development. That is a process that involves staff input and evaluation that goes beyond the scope of the Commission's work. If a rezoning would generate a certain amount of traffic flow, the commissioners will have been provided with a traffic impact study, a summary traffic impact study. And meanwhile, many site-specific development features, such as the means of management of stormwater, are evaluated through the Technical Review Committee rather than here in this forum. Lastly, concerns that are not related to land use are not germane to the Commission's consideration of rezoning applications. For example, generalized concerns about crime rates and questions of who may own, live at, or utilize the subject property in a rezoning application are not for the Commission's consideration. If there are questions about matters that are not addressed this evening, those can be referred to the Planning Department or City Technical staff as appropriate. And Chair Skeens, if I may, I have one thing I do want to add on to my usual comments. This is going to be a one-time thing in relation to something that was brought to our attention earlier today. I understand that at least some members of the Commission had the unusual experience this weekend of receiving a visit at their homes from someone who apparently wanted to discuss an item or items that are on tonight's agenda. First, I want to highlight the fact that the city staff who are seated around me from the Planning Department and other departments have an excellent system to ensure that community comments are relayed to members of the Commission in advance of these meetings, right? I see many such emails from staff that come to y'all as the commissioners, and I know that the staff members take a good number of phone calls from members of the community as well. And of course, when it comes to in-person comments, we have a very engaged community where folks do show up to these commission meetings every month and relay their concerns about rezoning requests during the allotted time for each public hearing. Now, those are the methods of communication that this commission has relied on for effective communication with the community for as long as I've been working with y'all. As for someone just showing up at your door to discuss a zoning item, well, I empathize with the unease that situation could bring for any of the commissioners. And ultimately, it is up to each of y'all individually whether you want to make it clear for folks that you do not wish to discuss the business of this commission at your own doorstep. And it would also be up to you whether you want to contact the police if someone fails to respect that wish. From the city's vantage point, I can simply say that we would not want to endorse the idea of folks showing up at your homes to discuss the work that you do here as volunteer members of the commission. I just wanted to make those comments for the moment. And Chair Skeens, I understand perhaps the commissioners may look to make additional comment later in the evening.
Yeah, but we'll reserve that for items from the commission at the end of the meeting. But thank you for some clarification on that.
Yes, ma'am.
Moving to the agenda, we have minutes from the March 16th meeting. First thing is we need to acknowledge absences. Commissioner Erica Glass and Commissioner Keith Peterson will not be with us tonight, but we still have a full complement of members to be able to hear the cases and vote. And we wish Keith Peterson a speedy recovery for some surgery that he just had. Now we can move to the minutes from the March 16th meeting.
Stu Nichols, so moved. Commissioner Gilmer, seconds.
Okay, all in favor of approving the March 16th minutes, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, those minutes are approved. Our next item is withdrawals and continuances. Do we have a request for either one?
Yes, Chair Skeens, we have a request to continue item Z-26-04-013, which is for 1201 and 1207 Pisgah Church Road. The applicant is requesting that this item be continued to the July Planning and Zoning Commission meeting.
All right. Before we get started in discussion on that, I would like our attorney, because I know it's going to come up in discussion, I would like our attorney to speak to the validity of hearing a case that is involved in pending litigation.
Chair Skeens, I can be pretty brief on the point. Rezoning is a legislative act that's guided by policy considerations. Property owners have a right and ability to request a rezoning, and the city has continuing authority to consider those rezoning applications when they're brought forward. Certainly there are examples from other municipalities around the state where rezonings have been challenged and there have been successive applications for rezoning. That is sort of inherent in the legislative nature of that process, that folks may look to get a new determination if they decide they want to do something slightly different. So.
But for purposes of right now, the determination has been there are two separate items, and pending litigation does not prevent us from hearing anything about a rezoning of the property.
Chair Skeens, that's correct, yeah.
Very good. We are going to, because of the case itself and the interest there has been, I'd like the applicant to come forward. We're going to give each side 5 minutes to explain the reason for the continuance request.
Chair Skeens and members of the commission, thanks for having my time. I'm William Johnson. Everybody calls me BJ. I live at 2406 North Elm Street here in Greensboro. And just due to the fact we went through the process last year, and given
It's a little louder.
Okay. Given the nature of this case and the experience we had last year, we felt like there's more time needed to engage the community, have more discussion, and also make sure the process was done in a proper way. There's still a lot of things that are evolving in terms of our project, and feel like a continuance would be the best interest for everyone here.
And that requested continuance is to the July meeting?
Yes, the July 20th meeting.
And that date, Mr. Kirkman, would be?
Sorry, looking it up here real quick. Make sure I had the right date.
The third Monday in July.
Yep.
Get up.
Yes, July 20th is the date.
July 20th. Okay. Anything else you want to share, Mr. Johnson?
No, that's enough.
Okay.
Thank you.
I understand there are some people opposed to this request, and you have 5 minutes if you'd like to come to the mic, give your name and address, and speak to the reasons why you do not think a continuance should be granted.
Volume level, okay. Oh, good evening, Chair Skeens. Appreciate it. I want to.
Clock. Thank you. We're good to go.
Okay, take two. Good evening, Chair Skeens. I appreciate the opportunity to speak, and I want to thank all the members of the council. I know this is a volunteer duty that you do for your city, and we really appreciate it. Ms. Turner, I appreciate you speaking to me directly on the phone, and Stu Nichols as well. I appreciate you speaking to me directly on the phone. So I'm going to start off this evening and just ask a question.
Name and address.
Oh, I'm sorry, Timothy Suhan, 624 Willoughby Boulevard, Greensboro. So I'm going to start with the question, why the delay? The rezoning request itself, which I have in my hand here, was entered on March 6th. We found out about this rezoning request when the public notice went up the day before Good Friday. That was April 2nd. Now, the city and the developer selected this time and date, and we are present in the chamber, and we are prepared to speak against this rezoning. With respect, we believe this needs to be voted on tonight. We think the neighborhood deserves this level of dignity. This is a professional developer, or so he bills himself. We're ordinary people with jobs, with lives. We have spent over 1 year opposing this situation. And I will add, before the city council meeting last year, the developer was also granted another delay the same day, I believe March 17th, when people were headed to this meeting, literally in cars to come down here. Putting off this vote to July 20th is simply inappropriate. Again, the developer is a professional. We think it's fair. No more delays. Let's make the vote. Again, why the delay? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stuhan. Is there anyone else who would like to speak specifically to the request of not granting the continuance?
Good evening. Nikki Deary Adams, 602 Blanton Place. Land use is the purpose of this commission, and land use is how Irving Park, and by extension New Irving Park, were designed. Insurance and real estate developers recognized the potential for suburban development in Greensboro and formed the Irving Park Company. They engaged John Nolan, one of the country's premier landscape architects and city planners, in 1911. He developed a master plan that provided for the comforts of the city with the joys of country living. All streets, sidewalks, gardens, homes, and other man-made objects were designed to blend into the area's natural surroundings, creating a park-like setting. Telephone and electric wires were buried. Special deed restrictions were also used to ensure that the attractive character and appearance of the area would be preserved. Irving Park was listed in the National Register of Historic Places in 1911. 1201 Pisgah Church is at the main entrance and egress of New Irving Park. As already noted,
Ms. Adams, you've only got 1 minute and 45 seconds left, and you've
Okay.
yet to tell us why we shouldn't hear this continuance.
Commissioner Skeens, if I may, I apologize, ma'am. Just to piggyback, of course, what's in front of you right now is purely a consideration of that motion for a continuance.
Correct.
So yeah, getting into more of the substantive piece of the rezoning question wouldn't be appropriate at this stage. So.
It sounds like you're arguing the case, and we're not here to hear the case. We're only here to hear the continuance.
We're opposing this on land use. We did not agree with the Planning Commission to change it from R3 to CDRM 12, and we still maintain that position.
Okay. Is there anyone else who would like to speak against granting a continuance? And we need to start the clock again when Mr. Smith gets to the podium.
Good evening, committee members. My name is Nicky Smith. I live in Greensboro, 402 Kemp Road West, and I'm here to express my strong opposition to continuing this in July. That's going to put us well into the month of summer. This group of individuals have come tonight to represent their community, and the city has made the decision to have this meeting tonight, and I think they deserve to be heard tonight and not delay this for 3 more months. So I ask you to please not allow a continuance of this, to kick this can down the road for 3 more months and make it difficult on the homeowners where the developer has got the freedom to come to these meetings and be a part of it. These homeowners don't. So please give them the respect. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Anyone else that would like to speak in opposition to the continuance? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing and open the floor for discussion regarding the request.
I'm just wondering whether council can comment on what the legal standard is that we should be considering in looking at whether to grant the continuance.
Yes, Commissioner Nichols, I think ultimately what we are looking at is a question of whether there would be any real inequity to any of the parties by doing so. I will say that I know historically the commission has looked heavily upon whether or not a project is still being refined such that a newer version of it may come back before the commission in successive months. But again, it's just a general policy consideration there.
Any other comments?
Yes, I'll make a comment. So the biggest inequity would be not having more time and information from both parties. As a city and as a group, we value information, we value perspective. And if a party is asking for a continuance, I have in my hand lots of your emails on this evening. And some of the emails allude to, of course, the litigation that is happening. However, such litigation is happening that is not contingent upon this matter on tonight, as our attorney said. But some have also expressed more communication. So if that's going to give additional time, and if that's going to rectify the problem, to me, in my perspective, we want sense of belonging. We want the community to talk, to resolve issues. Let's talk. So I'm going to be supporting the continuance on this evening because it is incumbent upon us to do such a thing for both parties. There is no bias. It's just the right thing to do. By the way, my address was wrong. I moved 5 years ago.
Ms. Skeens, can you lift your microphone just up a little bit? We're having a little trouble hearing you with the audio, so you can just get a little closer. That'd be great. Thank you.
Is that better?
I think so, yes.
Very good. Anybody else want to comment or make a motion or?
Yes, Madam Chairman, I will be leaning for continuance to the July meeting. I'll be voting that way. Thank you.
Second, Ms. Maggott.
He just said no, he did not. But you can.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the continuance for Z 26-04-013 at 1201 Willoughby, that we vote on whether we should continue this or not.
And your motion is to grant the continuance?
Commissioner Gilmer seconds.
We have a motion and a second to grant the continuance on case Z 26-04-013 to the July 20th meeting. All in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, like sign. That motion passes, and this case will be continued into the July 20th meeting.
Give just a minute to clear the room.
I'm going to give a few minutes for the room to clear.
We appreciate you coming and hope to see you in July.
Okay, let's move forward. We have been asked to move a text amendment up on the agenda, and that's item 26-12. And this is a zoning, planning, and development text amendment amending the Greensboro Land Development Ordinance, Section 30-12-2, flood damage prevention, specifically Section 30-12-2.1, general, and Section 30-12-2.4, amendments to the flood insurance map. I believe we have some staff that's going to enlighten us on this without a whole lot of detail that we don't understand.
Yes, good evening, Madam Chair, members of the Planning Commission. My name is Chris Andrews, Deputy Director with the Planning Department. Yeah, I want to thank your willingness for considering this at the beginning of your agenda. We do have representatives from the city's Water Resources Department, Danielle Quick and Chester Holder here in case there are any questions related to the technical reason for these. But we want to keep this pretty short tonight. Staff did not even prepare a presentation. So what is before you tonight is your consideration and recommendation of a city-initiated text amendment related to verbiage in the flood damage prevention section of the Land Development Ordinance. There are some very minor changes that were necessitated by a change in recent maps, as well as terminology in documentation at both the federal and state levels. So the first thing there, that's the amendment to the actual floodplain ordinance, is due to federal and state requirements of the new maps that are being made available. And this makes the city's preliminary maps for floodplains effective and is required by FEMA for the city's participation in National Flood Insurance Program. So that's pretty important. And the second is the language that's related to no rise. This is just a change in language to reflect the current documentation that's being used. So again, both these are really changes in language, not necessarily material for the development process. So unless there's any questions of either planning or my colleagues in Water Resources, staff asks for your forwarding of this item to the City Council for approval at their May 19th meeting. And as a text amendment, reminder, this does require the consistency and reasonableness statement.
And that is in our books, I do believe. First item. And bottom line, just to elaborate, and I believe I had mentioned this in the memo that I sent, that this is precipitated by changes at the state level, and in order for us to be in compliance, we've got to adjust our text amendment accordingly and make it consistent with what the state is requesting and requiring.
That is correct.
Is that good?
Sure. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Open the floor if there's any questions or a motion. You need to read the statement. The dreaded consistency question. Okay.
Regarding item PLP 2612, the LDO text amendment, flood damage prevention. The Greensboro Planning and Zoning Commission believes that its action to recommend approval of the text amendment request for the flood damage prevention text amendment to be consistent with the adopted GSO 2040 comprehensive plan, and considers the action taken to be reasonable and in the public interest for the following reasons. One, the request is consistent with allowing development that supports the comprehensive plan's future built form map and future land use map. The request is reasonable as the proposed amendments are reflective of changes in state and federal floodplain mapping and reflect current document language.
Stu Nichols, I second.
We have a motion and a second to recommend approval or recommend passing this request on to City Council. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. This constitutes a favorable recommendation and is subject to public hearing at the Tuesday, May 19th, 2026 City Council meeting.
Thank you all very much.
Okay. Now we will move to the agenda, and unless something has changed and someone has come in, We have a number of cases that will be on the expedited agenda, and I will read out by address, since a lot of you don't have an agenda and don't know the case numbers. 2507 and 2511 Freeman Mill Road and 1402 near Minor Street has been expedited. 3705 Flint Street. 2612 rear South Holden Road. 544 Jolson Street. 536 Farragut Street. 3700 Liberty Road. 1301, 1305, 1307 et al. North Elm, Cone Hospital has been expedited. 611 and a portion of 613 Pisgah Church and a portion of 3917 Baylor Street. And a portion of 613 Pisgah Church Road and a portion of 3917 Baylor Street. It's been expedited. 2711 and 2713 YY Liberty Road. And that is the end of the agenda. Did I miss anything or add something I shouldn't have?
No, those are all the ones that we're aware of, so we just need to make sure there's no one in opposition to any of those items that Ms. Chair Skeens has just read to the record.
Yeah, could you hear that? If there's someone who's in opposition to any of those cases I've read out, let us know. Then we will proceed. And the first case we will hear is actually under old business, 2507 and 2511 Freeman Mill Road. And the way this works is staff will give us a presentation, brief presentation. If the applicant is here and wants to say anything, we give them a couple of minutes to elaborate. And then we will close it and have a vote. Mr. Kirk.
So, Chair Skeens, if you'll be so kind as to read the first slide so we have the official information in the record.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
This is item Z-25-01-006. This is a rezoning request from R5 Residential Single Family 5, RM18 Residential Multifamily 18, and CDCM Conditional District Commercial Medium to CDLI Conditional District Light Industrial for the properties identified as 2507 and 2511 Freeman Mill Road and 1402 near Minor Street, generally described as east of Freeman Mill Road, west of Beagle Street, and north of Coliseum Boulevard, 1.001 acres.
Thank you, Chair Skeen. Yes, again, the request this evening for the commission is to rezone property from R5 residential single family, RM18 residential multifamily, and CDCM conditional district commercial medium to conditional district light industrial. Zoning to the north of the request is office. East of the request is RM18 residential multifamily. South of the request is zone CDCM conditional district commercial medium, and west of the request is R5 residential single family. The subject property currently contains a contractor's office with outdoor storage. North of the request is a government facility, the DMV office. East of the request are single-family dwellings and undeveloped land. South of the request is a convenience store with fuel pump and other retail shops and uses. West of the request is undeveloped land. This is a conditional zoning application, and these are the two conditions that were offered and advertised as part of the hearing this evening. In recommending approval of the request, staff notes the comprehensive plan designates this property as urban central on the future built form map and residential on the future land use map. Staff has determined that this rezoning request does support the comprehensive plan's growing economic competitiveness goal to build a prosperous, resilient economy that creates equitable opportunities to succeed and promotes homegrown businesses, supports entrepreneurship, cultivates industry leaders, and welcomes major corporations and institutions. The proposed CDLI district, as conditioned, does allow all uses generally permitted in the LI district, but then also includes conditions to limit negative impacts on surrounding properties. This rezoning request does allow uses that are complementary to the existing uses in the area, given its proximity to a major thoroughfare with quick access to an interstate highway, and would help resolve a current zoning use violation on portions of the property. So again, staff is recommending approval of the request, and we can answer questions.
Any questions of staff? Would the applicant like 2 minutes to elaborate on the case or anything that was said? I see a no. All righty. With that, we will close the public hearing and move to discussion and/or motion. If you recall, this is a case that we heard last year.
Yes. And this is bringing it into compliance, correct?
This is one
some
step.
level, on
Yes,
some
right,
level.
yes. So right now, we have an issue where the existing use does not match the zoning, so this would resolve that issue.
Great, thank you. With that said, I'd like to make a motion. Z 25-01-006. The Greensboro Planning and Zoning Commission believes that its action to recommend approval of the rezoning request for the property at 2507 and 2511 Freeman Mill Road and 1402 near Minor Road from R5 Residential Single Family 5, RM 18 Residential Multifamily 18, and CDCM Conditional District Commercial Medium to CDLI Conditional District Light Industrial to be consistent with the adopted GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan and considers the action taken to be reasonable and in the public interest for the following reasons. The request is consistent with the Comprehensive Plan's future build format and future land use map. The proposed CDLI zoning district, as conditioned, permits uses that fit the context of the surrounding area and limits negative impacts on the adjacent properties. The request is reasonable due to the size, physical conditions, and other attributes of the area, and it will benefit the property owner and the surrounding community, and approval is in the public interest.
Commissioner Gill, a second, and
We
thank
have-
staff for working.
I'm sorry, I thought you were finished. We have a motion by Ms. Maggott, a second by Mr. Gilmer, to approve 25-01-006. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. That passes on a 7-0 vote, and this approval constitutes a final action unless an appeal is submitted in writing to the Planning Department and the appeal fee is paid within 10 days. The next expedited case is going to be Z-26-04-002, and this is a rezoning request from R5 Residential Single Family 5 to CDRM 18 Conditional District Residential Multifamily 18 for the property identified as 3705 Flint Street, generally described as west of Flint Street and north of Berryman Street, 1.22 acres. Mr. Nelson.
Thank you, Chair Skeens. As you stated, this is a rezoning request from R5 to CDRM 18. North and west of the request are Zone R5. East and south of the request are Zone RM 18. The aerial map shows that subject property currently contains a single-family dwelling. North of the request contains a religious assembly use and single-family dwellings. East and south of the request contain multifamily dwellings, and west of the request contains single-family dwellings. This is the condition advertised with the request proposed by the applicant. And in recommending approval of the request, staff noted that the GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan designates the site as urban general on the future built form map and residential on the future land use map. The proposed rezoning request supports the GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan's filling in our framework big idea to arrange our land uses for where we live, work, attend school, shop, and enjoy our free time to create a more vibrant, livable Greensboro, and the Creating Great Places goal to create a citywide network of unique neighborhoods offering residents of all walks of life a variety of quality housing choices. And staff know that the proposed CDRM 18 zoning district as conditioned would permit a maximum of 20 residential dwelling units, and that the proposed uses are similar to existing uses in the surrounding area, and that care should be taken with respect to building orientation, materials, height, and visual buffers to ensure an appropriate transition to the lower density and residential on adjacent properties. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Yes, I think we need to change the header on this page.
Oh, we certainly do.
It's not Vivian Lane.
No, it is not. Yep.
Any questions of staff? Would the applicant like 2 minutes to elaborate on the request? so I will close the public hearing, open the floor to discussion and/or motions.
Regarding item Z26-04-002, the Planning and Zoning Commission believes that its action to, well, I'm going to make a motion for approval.
Yes.
The Greensboro Planning and Zoning Commission believes that its action to recommend approval of the rezoning request for the properties at 3705 Flint Street from R5 Residential Single Family 5 to CDRM 18 Conditional District Residential Multifamily 18 to be consistent with the adopted GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan, and considers the action taken to be reasonable and in the public interest for the following reasons. 1, the request is consistent with the Comprehensive Plan's future built form map and future land use map. 2, the proposed CDRM 18 zoning district, as conditioned, permits uses that fit the context of the surrounding area and limits negative impacts on adjacent properties. 3, the request is reasonable due to the size, physical conditions, and other attributes of the area. It will benefit the property owner and surrounding community, and approval is in the public interest.
Second, Ms. Maggid.
We have a motion from Ms. Turner, a second by Ms. Maggid, to approve Z-26-04-002. All in favor of the approval, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. That passes on a vote of 7-0, and this approval constitutes a final action unless an appeal is submitted in writing to the Planning Department and the appeal fee is paid within 10 days. Moving on to the next expedited case, which is Z-26-04-003. This is a rezoning request from BP Business Park to CDRM 26, Conditional District Residential Multifamily 26, for the property identified as a portion of 2612 rear South Holden Road, generally described as west of South Holden Road and south of Farmington, 10.27 acres. Mr. Kirkland.
Yes, thank you, Chair Skeens. Again, the request is a rezoning from BP Business Park to CDRM 26, Conditional District Residential Multifamily. North of the request is currently zoned RM18, Residential Multifamily, and BP Business Park. East of the request is zoned BP Business Park with R3 Residential Single Family further to the east. South of the request is zone BP Business Park, and west of the request is zone CDRM12 Conditional District Residential Multifamily. The subject property is currently undeveloped. North of the request are multifamily dwellings, as well as a credit union with drive-through facility. East of the request, also the credit union with drive-through facilities, as well as single-family dwellings and undeveloped land further to the east. South of the request is undeveloped land, and west of the request is also undeveloped land. This is a conditional zoning application, and there is one condition associated with it that was advertised as part of the hearing this evening. The comprehensive plan's future built form map designates the subject property as urban general and is also designated as an industrial on the future land use map of the comprehensive plan. This rezoning request does support the GSO 2040 comprehensive plans, filling in our framework big idea to arrange our land uses for where we live, work, attend school, shop, and enjoy our free time to create a more vibrant and livable Greensboro. The request also supports the comprehensive plan's creating great places strategy to meet housing needs and desires with a sufficient and diverse supply of housing products, prices, and locations. The proposed CDRM 26 as condition allows uses that are compatible with existing residential uses and densities in the surrounding area, and the proposed zoning is also appropriate given the location along a major thoroughfare. Can I answer any questions?
Any questions of staff? Would the applicant like 2 minutes to elaborate on the request? Okay, we have a raucous no on that one. So we will close the public hearing, open for discussion or motion.
Stu Nichols, I'll make the motion relative to item Z26-24-003. The Greensboro Planning and Zoning Commission believes that its action to recommend approval of the rezoning request for the properties at a portion of 2612 rear South Holden Road from Business Park to CDRM 26, which is Conditional District residential multifamily 26 to be consistent with the adopted GSO 2040 comprehensive plan and considers the action taken to be reasonable and in the public interest for the following reasons. First, the request is consistent with the comprehensive plan's future form-built map and future land use map. Second, the proposed CDRM 26 zoning district as condition permits uses that fit the context of the surrounding area and limits negative impacts on adjacent properties. Third, the request is reasonable due to the size, physical conditions, and other attributes of the area. It will benefit the property owner and surrounding community, and approval is in the public interest.
Second, Warshay Downing.
We have a motion by Mr. Nichols and a second by Mr. Downing to approve Z04003. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. That passes on a 7-0 vote, and this approval constitutes a final action unless an appeal is submitted in writing to the Planning Department and the appeal fee is paid within 10 days.
Just wanted you to know the consistency statement that we were reading on our monitors had the wrong address.
Yeah, we noticed that as well. Apologies for that. The statement was read correctly, and that is what matters at the end of the day.
Very good. Next expedited case is 26-04-004, and this is a rezoning request from CM, commercial medium, to CDO, conditional district office, for the property identified as 544 Jolson Street, generally described as east of Jolson Street and south of East Bessemer Avenue, 0.54 acres. Mr. Kirkman.
Yes, thank you, Chair Skeens. Again, the request is rezoning from existing commercial medium CM to CDO, conditional district office. North of the request is currently zoned, RM26, residential multifamily. East request is zoned CM, commercial medium, as well as RM18, residential multifamily. South request is zoned HI, heavy industrial, and west request is zoned CM, commercial medium. Subject property currently contains an existing office use. North request are multifamily dwellings. East request is a vehicle sales use, as well as multifamily dwellings. South request is a manufacturing facility, and west request are vehicle sales and services. This is a conditional application, and this is the condition that was offered and advertised for the hearing this evening. GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan designates the subject property as urban central on the future built form map, as well as being within an urban mixed-use corridor and a reinvestment corridor, and the properties are designated as commercial on the future land use map. The proposed rezoning request does support the comprehensive plan's growing economic competitiveness big idea to build a prosperous, resilient economy that creates equitable opportunities to succeed, and fulfilling our framework goal to arrange our land uses for where we live, work, attend school, shop, and enjoy our free time to create a more vibrant and livable Greensboro. The proposed CDO district as conditioned and does allow uses that are compatible with the existing uses in the surrounding area. Staff also notes that the subject property is located in immediate proximity to existing commercial and industrial properties, as well as being at the periphery of a residential neighborhood. And we are recommending approval of the request. Any questions?
Well, again, we have a case
an
in
issue with
January
those,
for Martin Luther King.
Yeah, I don't know. We apologize for those things. We were focused on the text, apparently, and not the headings. Our apologies.
Okay, we are talking about 544 Jolson Street.
Yes.
So is there any questions of staff on this one?
Just explaining why it's gone from M to O.
Yeah, so there's an existing office use on the property. They are considering the option to do residential development on the property, but want to maintain the existing office use rights. So the office district allows for both of those, whereas the commercial medium would not allow the residential use rights.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions of staff? Would the applicant like 2 minutes to elaborate on the case? I'm not seeing any hands raised. So with that, we will close the public hearing and move to discussion and/or motion on Farragut Street.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Jolson Street, excuse me, I'm ahead of myself.
I'd make a motion for agenda item number Z26-04004 544 Jolson Street. The Greensboro Planning and Zoning Commission believes that its action to recommend approval of the rezoning request for the property at 544 Jolson Street from CM Commercial Medium to CDO Conditional District Office to be consistent with the adopted GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan and considers the action taken to be reasonable and in the public interest for the following reasons. Number one, the request is consistent with the Comprehensive Plan Future Built Form Map and Future Land Use Map. Number two, the proposed CDO zoning district as conditioned permits uses that fit the context of the surrounding area and limits negative impacts on adjacent properties. And number three, the request is reasonable due to the size, physical conditions, and other attributes of the area. It will benefit the property owner and surrounding community, and approval is in the public interest.
Commissioner Gilmer, second.
Thank you. We have a motion to approve by Mr. Downing, a second by Mr. Gilmer. All in favor of approval, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, like sign. That passes on a vote of 7-0. This approval constitutes a final action unless an appeal is submitted in writing to the Planning Department and the appeal fee is paid within 10 days. Next expedited case is Z-26-04-005. This is a rezoning request from CDCM, Conditional District Commercial Medium, to LI, Light Industrial, for the property identified as 536 Farragut Street, generally described as north of Farragut Street and west of Random Road, 2.94 acres. Ms. Harrison.
Thank you, Chair Steens. This is a zoning map, and it shows that the subject property contains approximately 2.94 acres and is located north of Farragut Street and west of Random Road. This is a rezoning request from CDCM, Conditional District, Commercial Medium, to Light Industrial, LI. North, east, south, and west of the request are Zone LI, Light Industrial. This is the aerial map, and it shows that the property currently contains a retail building. North of the request contains undeveloped land. East of the request contains a vehicle rental, storage, and office use. South of the request contains Interstate 40. West of the request contains a wholesale use. There are no conditions associated with this request, and in recommending approval, the staff states that the GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan's Future Built Form Map designates the subject property as urban general and as residential on the future land use map. The proposed rezoning request also supports a comprehensive plan's growing economic competitiveness goal to increase and preserve the inventory of developer sites compatible with corporate and industrial uses. The request also supports a comprehensive plan's prioritizing sustainability goal to cultivate a diverse range of industry sectors and scales of operation in the local economy to help minimize the impact of major fluctuations within any single sector. The proposed LI zoning district allows uses that are compatible with the general character of the area and its continued development trends. The change in zoning for this property is appropriate given its location in proximity to the interstate and a major thoroughfare. And I can answer any question that you may have.
Any questions of staff? No. Okay. Seeing none, we will close the public hearing. Open for discussion. Motion.
I'll make a motion. In the matter of item Z-26-04-005, the Greensboro Planning and Zoning Commission believes that its action to recommend approval of the rezoning request for the properties at 536 Farragut Street from CDCM, Conditional District Commercial Medium, to LI, or Light Industrial, to be consistent with the adopted GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan, and considers the action taken to be reasonable and in the public interest for the following reasons. Number one, the request is consistent with the Comprehensive Plan's Future Built Form Map and Future Land Use Map.
Number 2, the proposed LI zoning district permits uses that fit the context of the surrounding area and limits negative impacts on adjacent properties. Number 3, the request is reasonable due to the size, physical conditions, and other attributes of the area. It will benefit the property owner and surrounding community, and approval is in the public interest.
Commissioner Gilmer, seconds.
Thank you. We have a motion to approve from Mr. Oliver, a second from Mr. Gilmer. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. That passes on a 7-0 vote. This approval constitutes a final action unless, you've got the next screen up. Okay. This approval constitutes a final action unless appeal is submitted in writing to the planning department and the appeal fee is paid within 10 days. Next case. This involves an annexation. It's PLP 2611 and Z-26-04-006. This is an annexation and original zoning request from County RS40 residential single family to City R3 residential single family 3 for the property identified as 3700 Liberty Road, generally described as west of Liberty Road and south of Delmore Drive, 0.49 acres. Ms. Harrison.
Thank you, Chair Skeens. This is a zoning map showing that the property contains 0.49 acres and is west of Liberty Road and south of Delmar Drive. This is an annexation and original zoning request from County RS40 residential single family to City R3 residential single family 3. North, south, and west of the request are zoned County RS40 residential single family. East of the request is zoned County LO Limited Office District and County RS40 residential single family. The aerial map shows the property is undeveloped, but site visit shows that the property currently contains a single family dwelling under construction. North of the request contains a single family dwelling. East of the request contains a medical facility, a dental office, and undeveloped land used for animal grazing. South and west of the request contain undeveloped land. There are no conditions associated with this request, and in recommending approval, staff states that the GSO 2040 comprehensive plans future built form map currently designate the property as urban general and as residential on the future land use map. The proposed original zoning request supports both the comprehensive plans, creating great places goal to expand Greensboro's citywide network of unique neighborhoods offering residents of all walks of life a variety of quality housing choices, and the filling in of our framework, big idea, to arrange our land uses for where we live, work, attend school, shop, and enjoy our free time to create a more vibrant and livable Greensboro. The proposed R3 zoning district is primarily intended to accommodate low-density single-family detached residential development of up to 3 dwelling units per acre. The request permits uses that are present on adjacent tracts, and I can answer any question that you may have.
Any questions of staff on this case? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing. And again, we need 2 motions on this one for the annexation and one for the zoning.
I move for the annexation, matter number PLP 26-11, 3700 Liberty Road.
Second, Ms. Mag.
We have a motion to approve the annexation by Ms. Turner and a second by Ms. Magid. All in favor of the request, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, please. Seeing none, that passes on a 7-0 vote. And then we need to do the rezoning, and then the recommendation. Okay. So now we need a motion for the zoning.
regarding Z-24-04-007, 3700 Liberty Road. The Greensboro Planning and Zoning Commission believes that its action to recommend approval of the original zoning request for the property at 3700 Liberty Road from County RS 40 Residential Single Family to City R3 Residential Single Family 3 to be consistent with the adopted GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan, and considers the action taken to be reasonable and in the public interest for the following reasons. 1, the request is consistent with the Comprehensive Plan's future built form map and future land use map. 2, the proposed City 3 zoning district permits uses that fit the context of the surrounding area and limits negative impacts on adjacent properties. 3, the request is reasonable due to the size, physical conditions, and other attributes of the area. It will benefit the property owner and surrounding community, and approval is in the public interest.
Stu Nichols, I second, subject to one minor clarification. The item number is Z26-04-006. You're welcome.
Okay. We have a motion to approve the zoning by Ms. Turner, a second by Mr. Nichols. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, like sign. That passes on a 7-0 vote. And this constitutes a favorable recommendation and is subject to a public hearing at the Tuesday, May 19th, 2026 City Council meeting. Our next expedited case is going to be Z-26-04-009. This is a rezoning request from O Office and LI Light Industrial to CDPI Conditional District Public and Institutional for the properties identified as 1301, 1305, 1307, 1309, 1309A, 1311, 1310 to 1314 North Elm Street, 1304 and 1306 Carolina Street, and 100, 104, and 108 East Northwood Street, generally described as west of North Elm Street and north of West Northwood Street and south of East Northwood Street and east of North Elm Street, constituting 4.16 acres. Mr. Nelson.
Thank you, Chair Skeens. As you stated, these properties are currently zoned office and light industrial, and the request is to take them to CDPI, Conditional District Public and Institutional. North and west of the request are zoned office and light industrial. East of the request is zoned PI. South of the request is zoned office. And I wanted to point out that there is a portion of the property which is apart from the others on the western side of Carolina Street. The aerial map shows that the subject properties currently contain surface parking and medical facilities. North and south of the request contains offices. East of the request contains the hospital and other medical offices. And west of the request contains offices and a warehouse use. This is the condition that was proposed by the applicant and the advertised associated with the request. And recommend approval of the request. Staff know that the GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan's future built form map currently designates the subject properties as urban general and major campus and within an urban mixed-use corridor. The Comprehensive Plan's future land use map designates these properties as residential, major campus, and commercial. The proposed rezoning request supports the Comprehensive Plan's filling in our framework big idea for how we arrange our land uses for where we live, work, attend school, shop, and enjoy our free time to create a more vibrant, livable Greensboro, and the economic development goal to ensure that adequate land is zoned and has infrastructure available for the various stages of business development. And staff noted that the proposed CDPI zoning district as condition would allow a variety of institutional and supporting office uses connected to an existing hospital campus. This request is consistent with the intent and purpose of the zoning code, the comprehensive plan, and is generally compatible with the existing development trend in the surrounding area. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of Mr. Nelson? Is the applicant here, and would they like to speak for a couple of minutes on the case?
Tom Terrell. I just want to say that Cone Health would be grateful for your support of this application.
We need your address for the record.
230 North Elm Street.
Thank you. That's it? That's all you want to say? Okay. Well, no, it's okay. It's okay. Just, I've never known you to be so short-winded, all right? All right, we'll close the public hearing for discussion and/or motion on this particular case on Elm Street for Cone Hospital.
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
Regarding Z26-04-009, the Greensboro Planning and Zoning Commission believes that its action to recommend of the rezoning request for the properties at 1301, 1305, 1307, 1309, 1309-A, and 1311 North Elm Street, 1304, 1306, 1310 through 1314, Carolina Street, and 100, 104, and 108 East Northwood Street from O Office and LI Light Industrial to CDPI Conditional District Public and Institutional to be consistent with the adopted GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan and considers the action taken to be reasonable and in the public interest for the following reasons. 1, the request is consistent with the Comprehensive Plan's future build format and future land use map. 2, the proposed CDPI zoning district as conditioned permits uses that fit the context of the surrounding area and limits negative impacts on adjacent property. And 3, the request is reasonable due to the size, physical conditions, and other attributes of the area. It will benefit the property owner and the surrounding community, and approval is in the public interest.
Stu Nichols, I second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve by Ms. Maggott, a second from Mr. Nichols. All in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. That is a 7-0 approval, and this constitutes the final action unless an appeal is submitted in writing to the Planning Department and the appeal fee is paid within 10 days. Next expedited case is Z-26-04-010. This is a rezoning request from R3 Residential Single Family 3 to CDCM Conditional District Commercial Medium for the properties identified as 611 and a portion of 613 Pisgah Church Road and a portion of 3917 Baylor Street, generally described as south of Pisgah Church Road and west of Baylor Street, 0.82 acres. Mr. Kirkman.
Yes, thank you, Chair Skeens. Again, the request is to rezone from R3 Residential Single Family to CDCM Conditional District Commercial Medium. North of the request is currently zoned R7 Residential Single Family. East of the request is zoned CDCM. South and west is zoned R3 Residential Single Family. The subject property currently contains a single-family dwelling as well as undeveloped land. North and west of the request are single-family dwellings. East of the request is a retail sales use, and south of the request is undeveloped land and single-family dwellings. This is a conditional application, and so these are the conditions that were offered by the applicant and advertised as part of the hearing. GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan designates the subject property as urban general on the future built form map within an urban mixed-use corridor and a district scale activity center. The future land use map designates these properties as commercial. The rezoning request does support the comprehensive plan's growing economic competitiveness goals to build a prosperous and resilient economy that creates equitable opportunities to succeed, and the filling in our framework goal to arrange our land uses where we live, work, attend school, shop, and enjoy our free time to create a more vibrant and livable Greensboro. The proposed CDCM district limits uses to all of those uses in the CM district except for eating and drinking establishments with drive-through facilities, and staff has concluded that the request is appropriate given the location along a major thoroughfare and being adjacent to and in close proximity to other commercial zoning around the intersection of Pisgah Church Road and North Elm Street. Can I answer any questions?
Any questions of Mr. Kirkman? Thank you. Would the applicant like 2 minutes to elaborate on the case? Seeing nothing, we will close the public hearing. for discussion? Motion?
I'll make a motion regarding Z-26-04-010. The Greensboro Planning and Zoning Commission believes that its action to recommend approval of the rezoning request for the properties at 611 and a portion of 613 Pisgah Church Road and a portion of 3917 Baylor Street from R3 Residential Single Family 3 to CDCM Conditional District Commercial Medium to be consistent with the adopted GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan, and considers the action taken to be reasonable and in the public interest for the following reasons. One, the request is consistent with the Comprehensive Plan's future built form map and future land use map. The proposed CDCM zoning district as conditioned permits uses that fit the context of the surrounding area and limits negative impacts on adjacent properties. 3, the request is reasonable due to the size, physical conditions, and other attributes of the area. It will benefit the property owner and surrounding community, and approval is in the public interest.
Second, Ms. Maggot.
Okay, we have a motion to approve from Ms. Turner and a second from Ms. Maggot. All in favor of approval, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. All right, that request passes on a 7-0 vote, and this approval constitutes final action unless appeal is submitted in writing to the planning department and the appeal fee is paid within 10 days. Next case is Z-26-04-011. This is a companion piece, actually, to the previous case. It's a rezoning request from R3 Residential Single Family 3 to CD R5 Conditional District Residential Single Family 5 for the properties identified as a portion of 613 Pisgah Church Road and a portion of 3917 Baylor Street, generally described as south of Pisgah Church Road and west of Baylor Street, 1.04 acres.
Thank you, Chair Skeens. Again, the request this evening is a rezoning from R3 Residential Single Family to CDR5 Conditional District Residential Single Family. North request is currently zoned R7 Residential Single Family. East request is currently zoned R3 and R5 Residential Single Family. South request is zoned R3. West request is zoned R3 as well as CDRM8 Conditional District Residential Multifamily. The subject properties currently contain a single-family dwelling and undeveloped land. North and south request are single-family dwellings. East request contains single-family dwellings as well as a place of religious assembly. West request contains single-family dwellings and townhomes. This is a conditional zoning application with one condition, as noted on the screen. Comprehensive Plan's future built form map designates this property as urban general and adjacent to a district-scale activity center, and the future land use map designates these properties as commercial. The rezoning request does support the Comprehensive Plan's filling in our framework, big idea to arrange our land uses for where we live, work, attend school, shop, and enjoy our free time to create a more vibrant and livable Greensboro, and the Creating Great Places goal to create a citywide network of unique neighborhoods offering residents of all walks of life a variety of quality housing choices. The proposed CDR5 district, as conditioned, is limited to residential uses only, which is similar to existing uses in the surrounding area. And again, staff is recommending approval of the request. Answer any questions.
Any questions of Mr. Cartman? Thank you. Is the applicant here to elaborate on the case?
He said he has no additional comments.
Okay, very good. Then we will close the public hearing and proceed just as an elaboration. If you looked at the zoning map, the reason for this is because of the way that they divided the corner, and this did not leave enough frontage for the house that is going to stay there. So they needed to rezone it so the frontage was appropriate, and also to create a buffer for the houses that are back on Baylor Court. Yes, yes.
So, Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion for item Z26-04011. The Greensboro Planning and Zoning Commission believes that its action to recommend approval of the rezoning request for the properties at a portion of 613 Pisgah Church Road and a portion of 3917 Baylor Street from R3 Residential Single Family 3 to CDR5 Conditional District Residential Single Family 5 to be consistent with the adopted GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan and considers the action taken to be reasonable and in the public interest for the following reasons. Number one, the request is consistent with the Comprehensive Plan's future built form map and future land use map. Number two, the proposed CDR5 zoning district as conditioned permits uses that fit the context of the surrounding area and limits negative impacts on adjacent properties. And number three, the request is reasonable due to the size, physical conditions, and other attributes of the area. It will benefit the property owner and surrounding community, and approval is in public interest.
Second.
We have a motion to approve from Mr. Downing and a second by Mr. Oliver. All in favor of approval signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, like sign. That passes 7-0, constitutes a approval, and it constitutes a final action unless an appeal is submitted in writing to the Planning Department and the appeal fee is paid within 10 days. The next case is going to be Z-26-04-012, and this is a rezoning request from R5 Residential Single Family 5 to CDRM 12 Conditional District Residential Multifamily 12 for the properties identified as 2711 and 2713 YY Liberty Road, generally described as east of Liberty Road and south of Alamance Church Drive, 17.75 acres. Ms. Harrison.
Thank you, Chair Skeens. This is a zoning map, and it shows that the subject properties contain approximately 17.75 acres and are located east of Liberty Road and south of Alamance Church Road. This is a rezoning request from R5 Residential Single Family 5 to CDRM 12 Conditional District Multifamily 12. North, east, south, and west of the request are Zone R5 Residential Single Family 5. This is the aerial map, and a portion of the property contains a single-family dwelling and the remainder undeveloped land. North, east, and west of the request contains single-family dwellings, and south of the request contains a religious assembly. This is the condition associated with the request. And in recommending approval, staff states that the comprehensive plan's future built form map currently designates this property as urban general and as residential on the future land use map. The proposed rezoning request supports the GSO 2040 comprehensive plans, filling in our framework big idea to arrange our land uses for where we live, work, attend school, shop, and enjoy our free time to create a more vibrant and livable Greensboro, and the Creating Great Places goal to create a citywide network of unique neighborhoods, offering residents of all walks of life a variety of quality housing choices. The CDRM 12 as condition would permit a maximum of 120 dwelling units. The proposed uses are similar to existing uses in the surrounding area. The proposed density is also appropriate given its location in proximity to a highway. Care should be taken with respect to building orientation, building materials, building height, and visual buffers to ensure an appropriate transition to the low-density residential on adjacent properties. And I can answer any question that you may have.
Any questions? Ms. Harrison? Thank you very much. Is the applicant here? Would the applicant like to speak to this request for 2 minutes? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing. Open for discussions and or motion.
just wanted to ask him at the public meeting, there was a comment about the units, and it says that it would likely reduce the count of the units. Is that correct? Thank you.
Did somebody nod?
Well, I would encourage, if you do have a comment from the applicant, you probably do want them to come to the microphone to verify.
Ms. Maggot, I think if I understood, it was, the condition the commission is considering tonight is a maximum 120 units. As with many developments, there may be site constraints or other things that will reduce the actual developed site eventually, but what you are considering this evening is the 120.
We just, obtain approval for development and construction at approximately 104. Modification improvement of the site was reduced. Unit count to 85 to 9.
Just reading from the applicant's neighborhood summary.
The owner
Correct,
will
but the
continue to
applicant is
confer
not
with
asked to amend the conditions
It's going
or
to
anything,
continue
so
to
that's
be
why I just wanted to be clear about
determined.
that.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
To be no more than, and if it's less, it's less. Okay.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion for agenda item Z26-04012. The Greensboro Planning and Zoning Commission believes that its action to recommend approval of the rezoning request for the properties at 2711 and 2713 YY Liberty Road from R5 Residential Single Family 5 to CDRM 12 Conditional District Residential Multifamily 12 to be consistent with the adopted GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan, and considers the action taken to be reasonable and in the public interest for the following reasons. Number one, the request is consistent with the comprehensive plan's future built form map and future land use map. Number two, the proposed CDRM 12 zoning district as conditioned permits uses that fit the context of the surrounding area and limits negative impact on adjacent properties. Number three, the request is reasonable due to the size, physical conditions, and other attributes of the area. It will benefit the property owner and surrounding community, and approval is in the public interest.
Commissioner Gilmer, seconds.
Thank you. We have a motion to approve by Mr. Downing, a second by Mr. Gilmer. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, like sign. That passes on a vote of 7-0, and this approval constitutes a final action unless an appeal is submitted in writing to the Planning Department, and the appeal fee is paid within 10 days. We now move to the unexpedited agenda items, and that takes us back to Z-26-04-001, and this is a rezoning request from LI Light Industrial to CDR5 Conditional District Residential Single Family 5 for the property identified as 1898 Willow Road, generally described as west of Willow Road and north of Interstate 40, 4.64 acres. Ms. Harrison.
Thank you, Chair Skeens. This is a zoning map, and it shows that the property contains approximately 4.64 acres and is located west of Willow Road and north of Interstate 40. This is a rezoning request from LI, Light Industrial, to CDR5, Conditional District, Residential Single Family 5. North of the request is zoned CDO, Conditional District Office. East of the request is zone R5, Residential Single Family 5. South and west of the request are zone LI, Light Industrial. The aerial map shows that the property is currently undeveloped, and north of the request contains a religious assembly. East of the request contains single-family dwellings. South of the request contains Interstate 40, and west of the request contains undeveloped land. This image shows the subject property as seen from Willow Road. This image shows the religious assembly, which is located north of the request on Willow Road, and it is zone CDO. This image shows examples of single-family dwellings located east of the request on Muncie Lane, zone R5. This image shows the Interstate 40 located south of the request, and it is zone LI. This image shows undeveloped land located west of the request on Bothwell Street, zone LI. This view is facing north on Willow Road, and the subject property is on the left. This view is facing south on Willow Road, and the subject property is on the right. These are the conditions associated with the request. And staff recommended approval, and it states that the GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan's future built form map currently designates the property as urban general and as residential on the future land use map. The proposed rezoning request supports both the comprehensive plans, creating Great Places goal to expand Greensboro's citywide network of unique neighborhoods offering residents of all walks of life a variety of quality housing choices, and the filling in of our framework big idea to arrange our land uses for where we live, work, attend school, shop, and enjoy our free time to create a more vibrant and livable Greensboro. The proposed CDR5 as condition would permit a maximum of 2 single-family dwellings. The proposed use is similar to existing uses in the surrounding areas. This request is consistent with the intent and purpose of the zoning code, the comprehensive plan, GSO 2040, and is generally compatible with the existing development and trend in the surrounding area. And I can answer any question that you may have.
Any questions of Ms. Harrison? Thank you. Is the applicant here to present the case?
Alex Carter, P.O. Box 669, Walkertown, North Carolina, 27051. Good evening, Madam Chair and council members. I just have a few brief comments on this particular zoning case. This rezoning request to rezone this to a conditional residential 5 from light industrial will greatly reduce the intensity of use of this site. The site is largely covered with floodplain, and there's only about a half acre available in the front of the property along Willow Road. So obviously we greatly appreciate and would request your support for this rezoning action. Any questions?
There had been a question from a member of the public wanting to know how you were going to place the proposed 2 houses on the property. Will it split down the middle evenly? Will you have enough frontage? Can you elaborate on that?
It will basically split down the middle for 2 building lots.
It'll split down the middle, and I'm assuming that the buildable area is to the front.
The buildable area is along the frontage, Willow Road frontage.
Okay. Any other questions? Is there anyone else to speak in favor of the request? And we'll now move to opposition. Yeah. Do we have opposition online? Put your little switch on.
The microphones are active. No,
We're not Kirstens.
So there's no one to speak in opposition, either in chambers or online.
At this point, it appears that is the case.
All righty. Then, seeing no other comments, we will close the public hearing and move to discussion and/or motion.
I'll be happy to make the motion.
All right.
Ted Oliver, any item Z-26-04-001. The Greensboro Planning and Zoning Commission believes that its action to recommend for approval of the rezoning request for the properties at 1898 Willow Road from light industrial to CDR5 conditional district residential single family 5 to be consistent with the adopted GSO 2040 comprehensive plan and considers the action taken to be reasonable and in the public interest for the following reasons. Number one, the request is consistent with the Comprehensive Plan's future built form map and future land use map. Number two, the proposed CDR5 zoning district, as conditioned, permits uses that fit the context of the surrounding area and limits negative impacts on adjacent properties. Number three, the request is reasonable due to the size, physical conditions, and other attributes of the area. It will benefit the property owner and surrounding community, and approval is in the public interest.
Commissioner Gilman seconds.
Thank you. We have a motion to approve from Mr. Oliver and a second from Mr. Gilmore. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. I know you're still trying to raise your hands, but all right. This constitutes approval constitutes a final action unless an appeal is submitted in writing to the Planning Department and the appeal fee is paid within 10 days. We now go to
Wrong one.
Brigham Road.
Yep.
Number 8. I think we need to ask the applicant of that. Okay, we're up here turning papers because we have nothing about any neighborhood summaries on 8 or 9, and if there are, okay. We have item Z-26-04-007. This is a rezoning request from R3 Residential Single Family 3 to CDRM 26 Conditional District Residential Multifamily 26 for the properties identified as 701 Brigham Road, 7924 Eric Road, and 7911 Atchison Road, generally described as west of Brigham Road and south of Atchison, 14.53 acres. Mr. Nelson.
Thank you, Chair Skanes. As you stated, this is a request to go from R3 to CDRM 26. North, south, and west of the request are zoned R3. East of the request is zoned R3, CDRM 18, and PUD, as well as business park. The subject properties currently contain single-family dwellings, outdoor storage, and undeveloped land. North of the request contains single-family dwellings. East of the request contains single and multifamily dwellings and undeveloped land. South and west of the request contains single-family dwellings and undeveloped land. This image shows one of the subject properties as seen from Atchison Road. This image shows another of the subject properties as seen from Eric Road. And this image shows one of the subject properties as seen from Atchison Road. This image shows an example of the single-family dwellings located north of the request on Atchison Road, zone R3. This image shows multifamily homes under construction located east of the request on Brigham Road, zone CDRM 18. This image shows undeveloped land located east of the request on Brigham Road, zone BP. This image shows a single-family home located south of the request on Brigham Road, zone R3. And this image shows a single-family home located west of the request on Atchison Road, zone R3. This image is facing south, this image shows a single-family home located west of the request on Atchison Road, zone R3. This view is facing south on Brigham Road, subject properties here are on the right. And this view is facing north on Brigham Road, subject properties here are on the left. This view is facing west on Eric Road, subject properties are on the right. And this view is facing east on Eric Road, the subject properties are on the left. This view is facing east on Atchison Road, subject properties are on the right. And this view is facing west on Atchison Road, subject properties are on the right. This is the condition that was submitted by the applicant and advertised associated with the request. And in recommending approval of the request, staff noted that the GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan's future built form map currently designates these properties as urban general, and the Western Area Plan designates this location as employment area on its future land use map. The proposed rezoning request supports the GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan's filling in our framework big idea to arrange our land uses for where we live, work, attend school, shop, and enjoy our free time to create a more vibrant and livable Greensboro as well as the Creating Great Places goal to create a citywide network of unique neighborhoods offering residents of all walks of life a variety of quality housing choices. And staff noted that the CDRM 26 zoning district as conditioned would permit a variety of residential housing types. The proposed uses are similar to those existing uses in the surrounding area, and the change in zoning for this property is also appropriate given its location in proximity to the Greensboro urban loop. Care should be taken with respect to building orientation, building materials, building height, and visual buffers to ensure an appropriate transition to the lower density residential on adjacent properties. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Is the applicant here to present the case?
Madam Chair and members of the Commission, my name is Nick Blackwood, 804 Green Valley Road here in Greensboro. I'm here on behalf of the applicant and the party who's under contract to purchase a portion of this development. And I think just for storytelling purposes and for simplicity, realize these are two separate cases on the agenda, one after the other, but they really function together and don't really function without each other. So I think as part of this presentation, we'll kind of touch on some elements from both together. And then, certainly happy to come back up and touch on the second case during the second public hearing if the commission finds that to be helpful. So just kind of wanted to give you an aerial context, a blown out image from what you saw in your staff report with the subject property being highlighted in red. Wanted to highlight some of the transportation infrastructure in the area. Sits right off of Pleasant Ridge Road. If you go north on Pleasant Ridge Road, you'll hit the Brigham Road intersection. Very close to the West Market Street access off of Pleasant Ridge Road, in close proximity to I-73 and Highway 68. So those are some of the transportation thoroughfares in the area that are attractive for this type of development. You also have very proximal access to PTI, and just given some of the recent economic announcements out at the airport in connection with the city's initiative to really encourage development of 10,000 additional housing units to address some of the growth in connection with those economic announcements, I think that proximity to the airport is really important to highlight. And again, what you see there outlined in red, that's both the subject property for the first agenda item 007 as well as the subject property for 008. Again, separate requests, but they function together in many respects. Again, just to highlight how these properties work, and just wanted to give you a little background on how this came together. So initially, we have Philip and Brad with us, as well as our civil engineer, Chuck Truby. And they had under contract a portion of property north of Atchison Road. You see that parcel 97746, as well as a portion south of Atchison Road. And that's the larger chunk where you see the white text blurb for the CDRM 26 request. That's owned by the Atchison family. That's what Philip and Brad's group has under contract. They were planning to do just a straight multifamily apartment project on those two parcels. So you'd have the Atchison right-of-way splitting that development. When they're going through the process, Phillips Management had the large piece to the west of Atchison Road, the biggest tract that you see there, 97741, as well as some other parcels kind of sporadically located along Atchison, including 97755 down at the tail end of Eric Road, just kind of a sporadic ownership pattern for the Phillips Management Group. And so just kind of by virtue of good fortune and good timing, when Philip and Brad were going through their process and their site design for what would have been kind of a split multifamily development, Brad Deaton and Phillips Management, they got together and decided it might be a good opportunity for them to make some moves with respect to the property they owned and swap a little property with Philip and Brad and allow both parties to have more contiguous land to develop, which will really result in a better project for everybody. Just wanted to highlight some of the existing zoning districts in the area. You see there's already a pretty well-established mix of higher density multifamily zoning. We back up to a PUD zoning district. It's an apartment community. Northwest of that is existing CD RM26 zoning, which is what we're requesting with this particular rezoning request, item 007. You'll see there's also some existing RM18 across the street, as well as a PUD district. Those properties, two of the CD RM18 properties east of Brigham Road, were actually on the P&Z Commission's agenda a couple of months ago for phase 2 of an existing Hawthorne development out that way. So you can see there's a real pattern of this type of growth out near the airport. There's a real need for additional housing in the city generally, but particularly in proximity to the airport. For the subject case, item 007, you'll see here an illustrative sketch, just a general idea of how we think that these apartment buildings may lay out on this assemblage. And again, Chuck Truby, our civil engineer, is here to help address any technical questions that you might have with respect to our illustrative layout. And then with respect to the PUD request, which is item 008, we'll touch on that in the next public hearing matter. Just wanted to, again, kind of give you an illustrative layout. This is intended to be a townhome development. Obviously, flexibility built in for various types of multifamily uses under the RM26 district as a component of that PUD, but the real intent is to be a townhome development. And then we'd also like to have some mixed office, commercial, and kind of neighborhood supporting use fronting Brigham Road. So with all of these folks coming in to live in this area off of Atchison Road, wanted to provide some walkable, proximal amenities, commercial and service-oriented uses so that they're not having to get out on the primary thoroughfares. Here's a copy of our notice letter. We did send out a notice to every property owner on the city's notification list, offered to have a neighborhood meeting. Did not hear from anyone except for one representative from an adjacent apartment community. Spoke with that gentleman for 15 minutes or so, separate and apart from this meeting, provided him copies of the same materials you've seen this evening, and did not hear any opposition with respect to land use. I understand Mr. Lewis is here tonight. He's been retained by that ownership group on that apartment community. Spoke with Mr. Lewis briefly before the hearing, and my understanding, certainly not to put words in his mouth, is that a lot of the concerns are more so related to an over-dilution of multifamily generally and impacts on marketability of their existing development rather than land use considerations. But certainly would look forward to hearing Mr. Lewis's comments with respect to that neighbor's position on this request. We do have, as I said, Philip and Brad here on behalf of the developer with respect to this first case, as well as Mr. Truby. So with that, I'd like to turn it over and ask if there are any questions I might be able to address.
Any questions of Mr. Blackwood? None at this time?
All right.
And we will take them 7 and then 8.
Yes.
Because we have a UDP to approve on 8.
Yes, correct. Thank you.
Anyone else to speak in favor? All right, then we'll now move to the opposition.
Good afternoon, or good evening now. Britton Lewis of Carruthers and Roth, 235 North Edgeworth Street. I'm here on behalf of West Shore Pleasant Garden, LLC. As Mr. Blackwood mentioned, they are an adjacent property owner, a company that owns an existing multifamily development. Kind of unusual, to be honest, to be here speaking on behalf of a property owner that owns and has something that's already zoned in line with what's being requested. But here I am, and the reason for that is we've got a road for 10,000 units here in Greensboro, but we weren't anticipating all 10,000 units were going to go on one literal road. If you look at what's going on with Brigham Road and Pleasant Garden Road, these are two rural roads on the outskirts of town. Where we are right now, it's a 22-minute drive, not exactly proximate to the city center, not filling in our existing framework. And there's an existing development where my client sits, as well as 2 other developments that are already built. The Hawthorne development across from what's being proposed is being expanded right now. In the meantime, we've got all of this development in the southeast corner of the city, where we're looking at trying to get jobs and proximity to that, that's like a 35-minute drive. This is an area in terms of northwest corner that is ripe for development, but not development of this scale. When we're talking about putting between these two projects 1,100 of our targeted 10,000 units right on top of 3 projects that are under construction right now, we're putting way too many eggs in one basket. The concerns are about traffic. I know they have gone through the traffic impact assessment. I'm not an engineer. I'm not going to be able to refute what is in their engineering report, but at the same time, we all know what Pleasant Ridge Road looks like. That's not something that you expect to see this level of traffic coming and going all day. On top of that, I guess we're not quite to the next matter, but there's some ambiguity in the PUD that I just wanted to bring up in terms of, they say, all right, we're going to have some kind of amenity for these residents, but it's open to everything from commercial use to light industrial. Quite plausible this is going to be a self-storage facility or something that has use, things that need to be built, but it's not going to be something that these tenants and residents use on a daily basis. Everybody that's going to these units, and making sure I'm on time here, is going to be getting in their car, driving up and down 2 two-lane roads in order to get to Highway 68. And so it's just a high burden of stress. And I apologize, I'm here without a lot of prepared remarks, without a presentation like I would typically have, but my client reached out to me Friday night about this. We've been chewing on this for a while, and we expected neighbors to come up and oppose because this is something that doesn't make sense, but they hadn't heard from anybody else, and so they felt like they needed to be the responsible voice in the room to come in and at least call some attention to this. I mean, something that has this much of an impact on a community, on our city, shouldn't be considered lightly, shouldn't certainly be put onto an unopposed docket. And so just wanted to express those concerns. We could talk about all of the different features and conditions you can put on this, but if there's 1,100 units and you put a sidewalk on the side of one of these roads, it's a sidewalk to nowhere. No one's going to use it. We're going to spend city and developer dollars putting a sidewalk in that takes you literally nowhere. And so there's that piece of it. There's also the concerns about putting this much stress on our school district in terms of you put continued development just in one area. We know, I think everybody here knows where kind of the northwestern schools sit in terms of overdevelopment, and you talk about putting multiple new large-scale developments one on top of the other. It's just too much too quickly. So that was what my client wanted to bring up. With regards to the existing matter, talking about RM26, which when I've come before the council before to try to get things rezoned for RM26 in areas that are much closer to the city center in years past, that was a challenge. And I think the plan here is to talk about doing townhomes. It's a 14-acre tract. You're talking about a lot of units, and certainly something that is denser than the area may prescribe. If we came down from RM26 to something lower density, I think the project makes more sense. But that doesn't alleviate some of the concerns with respect to the next matter with regards to talking about another 750 units on top of that. Happy to entertain any questions, although, like I said, I'm getting up to speed probably more than you guys are in terms of just jumping onto this yesterday.
Any questions of Mr. Lewis?
Yeah, you said a lot of numbers. I would like to. So you said 1,100 units, then 750 units. So 1,100 units are there now, or that's what's being proposed,
No,
or that's what will be there in total after all this is done? What is that number?
So 1,100 came from the proposal between this current request for RM26 for these 14 acres and then the companion case where the PUD is requesting to put another 750 units on top of that.
So how many units do you know will be there when all the construction that's been approved is done?
It's a good question. I know that the Hawthorne matter that was just approved at the last hearing, or maybe one before that, was another RM26 for a handful of acres. I can't give you an exact number, but it's you're you're talking about 1,100, and then you've got an existing project under construction adjacent to this right now, plus the Hawthorne units. Our units aren't that new or aren't that old either. So you're talking about, I'm fairly confident it would be in excess of 2,000 units in between those two streets.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
What is the proximity from this development to the airport, which, of course, as you know, is going to be a major center for employment? And one of the things about filling in the framework is having homes in proximity to jobs. You talked about jobs being 35 minutes away, but the airport is not 35 minutes away. Can you address that?
Yeah, there's absolutely proximity to the airport. I can't refute that. My client built units here as well. It makes sense for there to be units and housing close to the airport. There's opportunity for expansion there, and it is. I mean, it's minutes from the airport, which does make it desirable, but there's not going to be 1,100 new people coming on board to go work at the same airport site at the same day. I mean, the jobs are there, the opportunities come, but it's not going to be every single person lives right there. And again, there's no proximity to the other amenities that the city offers in terms of parks and grocery stores and all of the things that we go to on a daily basis. So even though the airport is right there, it's not something that's walkable, that's close. You still have to go. I mean, just navigating the airport process requires you to get on the highway. So absolutely no argument that it's close to the jobs that are coming to the airport. It makes sense from that perspective. I'm not saying there shouldn't be housing there. I just think that this project is too big, too fast.
You also made a comment about how this development would dilute the investment that your client has made. Should the Planning and Zoning Commission, as a matter of land use, take into consideration your client's ROI?
No, I'm almost certain I may have said that. I don't think I did. Mr. Blackwood did say that was his understanding of our position. That is certainly not a matter of land use. No, so I don't think so. I do think having smart strategic planning is what the commission and us as citizens are called to do, but not evaluating what the ROI of a given developer looks like.
And your development, the development that you're representing, you said was West Shore?
West Shore Pleasant Ridge LLC, yes, ma'am. It's got an existing apartment complex there known as Plantation at Pleasant Ridge.
And is that fully filled, or is it? You're not developing any new park?
No, it was developed by a prior owner. It's up and running.
It's up and running.
Correct. I'm not sure what their occupancy rate looks like or anything like that.
Okay. Or how many units it has?
I don't know.
Okay.
Any other questions of Mr. Lewis? Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that wishes to speak in opposition to this case? Seeing none, we'll move to rebuttal from the applicant.
Again, for the record, Nick Blackwood, 804 Green Valley Road in Greensboro. Did want to briefly address a couple of Mr. Lewis's points. I'm not sure, could they see my cursor on this if I move it? Oh, I see. Okay, great. So this CDRM26 project up here is the client who Mr. Lewis represents. So you can see the okay. You can see the hand moving. So what we're requesting here with respect to the subject request, the 007 request, is entirely consistent with the development density of the existing apartment development that's opposing our request here. So did want to make that point, make that note for the Commission's consideration. Mr. Nichols, to address your question with respect to the number of possible employment opportunities coming to the airport, we know that the Jet Zero announcement estimated 14,500 jobs out at the airport. So yes, this is a sizable development with respect to density. when you consider the total number of units. But when you look at it's also a good amount of land. When you look at the residential density with our RM26 request and the PUD request combined, it comes out to about 19.6 units an acre from a residential standpoint. So it's entirely consistent with the existing residential density in the area. Again, it's a lot of units, but it's a big piece of property. So that's where that falls in line. The reasoning for this amount of growth that you're seeing along Brigham Road and Pleasant Ridge Road, I think, again, is just entirely driven, or in large part driven, by the airport and the proximity to those jobs that are coming, as well as the existing transportation infrastructure in the area. We did have a traffic study performed both for this request and the PUD request next on the agenda. There were no significant transportation improvements recommended. Both of these projects were considered during that review, as well as the existing multifamily in the area and the recently approved multifamily in the area, which indicates to me that the existing transportation network is sufficient to handle this growth. And that's the reason for the public investment in Pleasant Ridge Road and West Market Street, I-73. The reason why those public dollars are spent are to accommodate this sort of growth in areas where we need additional housing for this type of economic development. So with that, happy to answer any additional questions you might have.
Any other questions of Mr. Blackwood? I have a couple. The traffic impact study has worked with 336 units on this case 7, and then you've limited to 715 on 8. That would be a total of maximum build-out of 1,051 units.
That's right.
Has your client shared with you what the build-out is proposed to be?
With respect to the timing?
Uh-huh.
I might let Brad and Philip come up and address that question. As far as proposed build-out time, it can just be an estimate. It doesn't have to be anything definitive at this point. Yeah.
I'm trying to put together, these jobs that are coming online are not going to hit all at once. They're going to be gradual as the companies come online.
That's right. And one thing I think that's important to keep in the back of our minds is we're at such an early stage in the process now. Even if approved, we're still years away from having a finished product for these people to live in. So time really is of the essence.
It's a curiosity based on the numbers we're getting out of the airport and when the jobs would come online, and looking at a typical absorption rate. So what do you anticipate for build-out?
Yeah, so the plan would be for construction to start.
And I'm sorry, real quick, can you state your name?
Brad Chambers, 6 Allwood Court. The plan would be for construction to commence first quarter of 2027, with first units delivering first quarter of 2028. Construction would wrap up at the end of 2028.
So 2 years, round
Approximately
numbers.
2 years.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Alrighty, that's the only question I have.
Can either of you comment on there was a statement made that you had to get in a car to go for shopping or grocery or what have you. Can you comment on present or planned amenities of that type, gas stations, the sorts of things that people need when they live somewhere?
Sure, and I will let Brad speak to that a bit, but just kind of generally with respect to protecting the interest of these potential lot owners or tenants here, we are our biggest stakeholders in the area. We're developing property here. We're not going to put anything on our front door that's going to jeopardize our ability to lease units and sell lots. You want to just kind of speak to what types of commercial usage you anticipate? Or no, sorry.
That would be Brad.
And that's deal blur for me. That'll be on the Phillips management portion of the PUD. We can address that in the next hearing. Yep.
Next case, okay. All right. Anything else that y'all want to say, or any questions you have of the applicant? Then let's move to, with the opposition, 5 minutes of rebuttal? Okay, thank you very much. That being said, we will close the public hearing. And this is just a straight rezoning request. Comments, motion?
do want to make a comment very briefly, is that thank you to, can't remember your name. Thank you both. And to Blackwood, yes, thank you. And then also to Mr. Lewis, to all due respect to your client, I'm going to just say this: competition is good, and that one can compete with quality and exceptional service, and when a product is in high demand, it will sell itself. But thirdly, I would say land use. The Western Area Development Plan is still something that we look at, and there are growth tiers to this, and we also mentioned that this is probably going to start maybe in about 2 years. So the housing is necessary. I do understand the perspective that it seems like too much at the same time, but if we are to grow and if we are to maintain and attract businesses, not just what we see at the airport, but the prognostication of other businesses, then we have to build. And so I'm going to be supporting this on this evening, and I thank you both for your arguments as well.
And I'd just like to say this is in District 5, my district. Thank you for doing this. We need more housing in that district. I'd like to make a motion.
Ms. Turner had a...
I just want to say one thing. I think that this is really an impressive, future-oriented kind of project, and I wish we saw more of these all around the city, because these are the kinds of things that I think can best address housing needs in these really growing fast areas. So thank you.
And I just wanted to say the fact that these developers came together to figure out the best use of this land is so wonderful to hear, that they're working together for a common goal.
And I would just like to remind everybody that even though Jet Zero has said 14,500 jobs, and boom, a lot more jobs too, there's a multiplier effect. You know, it's not just the people that are going to be working at Jet Zero. You also will need, you'll have supporting jobs that get developed as well. That's like a 2 to 3 times that. So there's going to be a lot of people coming to Greensboro, and we're going to need places for them to live.
Any more comments? I was going to make a motion. Okay. So I'd like to make the motion. Z26-04-007. The Greensboro Planning and Zoning Commission believes that its actions to recommend of the rezoning request for the properties at 701 Brigham Road and 7924 Eric Road and 2911 Atchison Road, and from R3, Residential Single Family 3, to CDRM 26, Conditional District Residential Multifamily 26, to be consistent with the adopted GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan, and considers the action taken to be reasonable and in the public interest for the following reasons. 1, the request is consistent with the comprehensive plan's future build format and future land use map. 2, the proposed CDRM 26 zoning district, as conditioned, permits uses that fits the context of the surrounding area and limits negative impact on the adjacent properties. And 3, the request is reasonable to the size, physical conditions, and other attributes of the area. It will benefit the property owner and the surrounding community, and approval is in the public interest.
Commissioner Gilmer seconds.
Thank you. We have a motion to approve by Ms. Maggot, a second by Mr. Gilmer. All in favor of the approval, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. That passes on a 7-0 vote, and this approval constitutes a final action unless an appeal is submitted in writing to the Planning Department, and the appeal fee is paid within 10 days. I know it's past 7:30, but we've only got the one case, and they are linked, and I would like to proceed if no one has an objection. Very good. We'll now move to Z-26-04-008. This is a rezoning request from R3, Residential Single Family 3, to PUD, Planned Unit Development, and consideration of the associated Unified Development Plan for the properties identified as 709, 711, and a portion of 715 Brigham Road, and 7914 and 7927 Atchison Road, generally described as west of Brigham Road and south of Pleasant Ridge Road, 41.23 acres. Mr. Nelson.
Thank you, Chair Skeens. As you stated, this is a rezoning request from R3 to PUD, Plan Unit Development. North of the request is zone BP Business Park, as well as R3 Residential Single Family 3. East of the request is zone R3, CDRM 8, and CDRM 18. South of the request is zone R3 and two distinct CDLI, Conditional District Light Industrial Districts. West of the request is zone R3 and CDLI. The subject properties currently contain single-family dwellings, outdoor storage, and undeveloped land. North of the request contains a multi-tenant industrial park, as well as a single-family dwelling. East of the request contains single-family and multi-family dwellings, outdoor storage, and undeveloped land. South of the request contains single-family dwellings, a distribution facility, warehouse uses under development, and undeveloped land. And west of the request contains single-family dwellings, warehouse uses under development, and undeveloped land. This image shows one of the subject properties as seen from Brigham Road. This is another of the subject properties as seen from Brigham Road. This is one of the subject properties on the north side of Atchison Road. This is one of the subject properties on the on the south side of Atchison Road. This is another of the subject properties on the north side of Atchison Road. And this image shows one of the subject properties as seen from the end of Atchison Road. This image shows a single-family home located north and east of the request on Brigham Road, zone R3. This image shows the industrial park located north of the request on Brigham Road, zone BP. This image shows a drainageway and open space, located north of the request on Pleasant Ridge Road, zone PUD. And this image shows some of the multifamily homes under development located east of the request on Brigham Road, zone CDRM 18. This image shows a single-family home located south of the request on Brigham Road, zone R3. This image shows undeveloped land located south of the request on Atchison Road, zone R3. This image shows a single-family home located south of the request on Eric Road, zone R3. This image shows a warehouse use located south of the request on Brigham Road, zone CDLI. And this image shows warehouse use under development located west of the request on Pleasant Ridge Road, zone CDLI. This image shows a single-family home and undeveloped land located west of the request on Pleasant Ridge Road, zone R3. This view is facing south on Brigham Road. The other properties are on the right. And this view is facing north on Brigham Road. The other properties are on the left. This view is facing west on Atchison Road. The other properties are on either side. And this view is facing east on Atchison Road. These other properties are on either side and directly behind you. These are the conditions that were proposed by the applicant and advertised associated with the request. And this is the Unified Development Plan, which was reviewed by TRC and recommended for approval. And in recommending approval, staff noted that the GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan's future built form map currently designates the subject properties as urban general. The Western Area Plan designates this location as employment area on its future land use map. The proposed rezoning request supports the GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan's filling in our framework big idea to arrange our land uses for where we live, work, attend school, shop, and enjoy our free time to create a more vibrant and livable Greensboro, as well as the Creating Great Places goal to create a citywide network of unique neighborhoods offering residents of all walks of life a variety of quality housing choices. The staff noted that the PUD zoning district as condition would permit a mixture of residential and non-residential uses, and that the proposed uses are similar to existing uses in the surrounding area, and that the newer uses are consistent with the growth character of the area. Care should be taken with respect to building orientation, materials, and height, and visual buffers to ensure an appropriate transition to the pre-existing lower density residential use on adjacent properties. And happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of Mr. Nelson? Thank you. Mr. Blackwood?
Madam Chair and members of the commission, again, this is Nick Blackwood, 804 Green Valley Road here in Greensboro. I believe covered the nuts and bolts of this in the last case, so I'll be brief, but did want to offer Brad Deaton an opportunity to come up and address Mr. Nichols' question with respect to the possible commercial uses fronting Brigham.
Good evening. Brad Deaton, 1400 Battleground Avenue. I represent Crosspoint Homes, which will be the residential component for the property related to the Phillips family and the Phillips group. So there are multiple tracks involved with this. So there are residential tracks, and the mixed-use version is going to be in preliminary conversations. So when we were approached, we have sewer along our western boundary, and that was what presented the opportunity for these two companies to work together. And with that in mind, we had to design our project to get sewer to their project, and so that's kind of what we did. And so we did the residential component, which does have the majority of the residence use on that product. The mixed use being the light industrial, the commercial, it is going to have specific uses to benefit the residents. So it'll have amenities. These uses haven't been determined completely yet. We have talked about amenities to support the area, and that is, but in a true conjunction of amenities for the residential plus other amenities that would be useful. There are other tracks that we're associated with that are for more commercial uses as well. We think some of those would be more of a larger service type uses there. So we have multiple places to put services for both properties. Other questions you may have?
My question wasn't so much focused. It's great to have that context of what you're involved in, but I also meant other commercial developments that are that other people are doing, either existing or planned, that are within a short drive of your development.
The cursor, there is a tract right there that we're associated with that is currently zoned commercial.
Okay.
The future of that would be one of those tracts that I said that would be closer to this, but also commercial oriented.
And Mr. Nichols, just to add to that point as well, there was also a recent PUD on the Zoning Commission's agenda here on the western side of Pleasant Ridge Road, and that incorporated it was also a fairly large residential development, but it incorporated a fair amount of square footage for commercial and office and some of those other supporting uses that would allow this additional residential component to really thrive in the area. I don't think there's going to be a shortfall of commercial opportunities for development in this area.
That was exactly the implication of my question. I figure with this density of building and this number of people in a relatively small area, which, by the way, is exactly what you want to do from a land use planning perspective, there will no doubt be all of the types of infrastructure, shopping, et cetera, that movie theaters, whatever people want to do, it'll get developed because it's well known that if you have the people there, then the commercial developments will come and follow them.
That's right. And I think with this PUD in connection with the other PUD I referenced, the unique opportunity of having those commercial services within the confines of the same development, keeping that traffic off the streets and more internally located is a real benefit as well. So with that, I'm happy to answer any additional questions that the commission may have.
I don't see any more questions.
All right. Thank you.
Mr. Lewis? Well, without any opposition being spoken, then we don't even need to go to rebuttal, do we? So, seeing no other comments, we will close the public hearing.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion for agenda item Z26.
UDP first.
Oh, yes. How do we do it? I just move it. Motion. I motion that we accept the UDP.
Mr. Gibbons, second.
Wait.
Yeah, so you need to establish the zoning first, which is what Mr. Downing was doing with the PUD zoning, and then once the zoning is in place, then go ahead and do the motion for the Unified Development Plan that then fleshes out the standards of that PUD.
We'd have to, a motion motion to approve the zoning and then the UDP.
Got it. Okay. I'm making a motion for agenda item Z2604-008. The Greensboro Planning and Zoning Commission believes that its action to recommend approval of the rezoning request for the properties at 709, 711, and a portion of 715 Brigham Road and 7914 and 7927 Atchison Road from R3 Residential Single Family 3 to PUD, Planned Unit Development, to be consistent with the adopted GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan, and considers the action taken to be reasonable and in the public interest for the following reasons. Number one, the request is consistent with the comprehensive plan's future built form map and future land use map. Number two, the proposed PUD zoning district as condition permits uses that fit the context of the surrounding area and limits negative impacts on adjacent properties. And number three, the request is reasonable due to the size, physical conditions, and other attributes of the area. It would benefit the property owner and surrounding community, and approval is in the public interest.
Stu Nichols, I second.
Thank you. We have a motion to approve from Mr. Downing and a second from Mr. Nichols. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. That passes on a 7-0 vote. This approval constitutes final action unless an appeal is submitted in writing to the Planning Department, and the appeal fee is paid within 10 days. Now, finish up this case. UDP.
Oh, yes. I move that we accept the Unified Development Plan, UDP.
Commissioner Gilmer, second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the UDP, and Mr. Gilmer has seconded it. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, like sign. So the UDP stands approved. Do we need to indicate that that constitutes final action also, or is that assumed since the zoning was?
Yeah, effectively, you've taken final action on that particular
Okay.
piece of it, so I think you're fine.
We're good.
There's not an appeal for that. You have taken action on that one. That is, the zoning will go on appeal potentially. The UDP is already approved.
Okay, now, we're up to items from the Planning and Zoning Commission, and I believe our attorney has some items that he would like to, and he's looking at me like, me?
Chair Skeens, are you referencing the comments earlier about the visits to folks' homes?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, I mean, again, Chair Skeens, if there are any comments that any of the commissioners want to make about that individually, certainly, you are welcome to. But I would just echo what I stated earlier this evening. Of course, we do have a variety of means through which the community communicates with this commission, and folks showing up to y'all's doorstep is maybe not one that we exactly want to endorse, but it is ultimately up to y'all as the owners of the property to let folks know if they do appear that you don't wish to discuss the board's business at your own doorstep.
Has it been confirmed? My understanding in the times I have looked, the only thing on the city website as it relates to identifying us, is there an email address there?
No, I checked today. You're on the Planning and Zoning Commission site. It simply lists your name and the terms that you have for the position. So that was not at least out there publicly on our website for anybody to get to. There may have been other ways they got that information, but it's not from the website.
But if someone wants to communicate with us, they can contact you, and you will supply them with the email address.
We will give the email addresses. If you receive email commentary and then you wish to follow up with that person, you can certainly provide your phone number at that point or anything else on there, but that's to your discretion with that individual conversation. The only things that we're going to provide are your email addresses.
Okay. And I think everyone's aware that several of us had someone show up at a doorstep Sunday afternoon and wanted to talk about the Pisgah Church case and Willoughby. And it was a little unsettling. And we were just looking for some direction, and I guess we are on our own to decide how we want to handle it, but is it appropriate to say that probably the better approach is not to engage?
Chair Skeens, y'all would, yes, individually be, really, you would need to make that determination yourself, right? I think I would echo what I stated earlier, which is certainly if you want to be clear with folks that you're not looking to discuss the business of this board at your own home, there's nothing wrong with doing that. And, if folks are not able to respect that wish, it's up to y'all whether you wish to contact the authorities.
Any comments regarding this issue?
Yeah, I'd just like to say thank you to the staff and for hiring the extra security and for your comments earlier in the meeting for the people who were there then to hear. I think your message was received, and I appreciate you collecting those addresses. So thank you for the extra steps that you took. It was unsettling at my house when I wasn't there and my wife answered the door. So I appreciate it.
And I'll just say from staff's perspective, we ask a lot of our volunteer boards and commissions anyway. The last thing we want to do is to have other issues outside of the purview to occur. So if you run across situations like this again, please let us know. There's nothing else we want to coordinate on our end to make sure we're getting all the right information about what occurred.
Any other comments or observations? Do I hear a motion to adjourn for sandwiches? Oh, and cake. Happy birthday to Mike.
And to Ms. Megan.
Yes. Cake and sandwiches in Brent's office. All right. We have a motion
to adjourn.